Hey guys, I hope you're doing well and had a good weekend and you're ready to move on with our literature. So, we're going to talk today about Ray Bradbury. You should have read Ernest Hemingway's story, Big Two-Hearted River. And hopefully, as you read it, you noticed his writing style, how it almost like short and choppy. He doesn't like to use a lot of adjectives or adverbs. He's just very crisp, clean writing style. And that you saw kind of the focus on rituals that the guy Nick that was fishing, right? Just focusing on rituals and doing things that he was comfortable and used to doing. And did you see kind of the possible symbolic significance between the place where he was fishing, right, in the river where it was like sunny and nice, and then there was the swamp. But he felt like he wasn't ready to go into the swamp. He wasn't going to go into the swamp that day. So kind of the contrast there. We said the conflict was man versus himself, right? It was just that internal trying to recover and heal from the war. And then it was just a very neutral tone, and we didn't feel one way or the other. We didn't feel sorry for him, it was just a very neutral tone to the story. So today we're going to talk about Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury began writing when he was in high school in Los Angeles, California. He was not born in California. He was born in Illinois, but his family moved to Los Angeles. And while he was there in high school, he founded a small paper and started this small paper, Future of Fantasia. And he kind of was in charge of that paper there. He loved theater. And he loved going to plays and movies and stuff like that. So he would because he lived in California, he would like to kind of hang out where those kind of things were going on. He did join a theater group, but he did drop out because writing became his main interest, what he really wanted to do. He worked as a newsboy actually for a few years to support himself as a writer. And in 1941, so when he was only 21 years old, he sold his first science fiction short story. 2 years later, he became a full-time writer, producing not only short stories, but novels, plays, film and television scripts. It kind of took off his career. A lot of his stories have been turned into like television shorts, and so became very, very popular. He's won many national prizes. You see the picture there of him with the Bushes. He received an honor from President Bush. He did just pass away just a few years ago in 2012. His most famous work, he wrote several books. Something Wicked This Way Comes. Dandelion Wine is also a famous one. And then The Martian Chronicles, probably the one that he's most known for, but it's about people on Earth. It's about traveling, being able to travel to Mars. And so humans travel to Mars and try to take over Mars, but the Martians end up killing the humans that come to Mars, and then there ends up being a war, and actually the Earth is also destroyed, so there's this destruction of both people on Mars and people on Earth. But anyway, if you enjoy science fiction, and if you didn't read it, it's on the ninth grade reading list. Maybe some of you read it, but you might enjoy reading The Martian Chronicles. But you'll see in his writing, you'll see the pessimistic flair that we see in the modern American prose and poetry. So you'll see that pessimism. Ray Bradbury himself did not like technology. And if I remember correctly, I don't think he ever learned to drive a car. He was very skeptical of technology. And his view of the future is a very doomsday, pessimistic, technology is going to take over the world and be our destruction type thing. So the story that we're going to read, August 2026, which is kind of funny because when he wrote it, that seemed so far in the future, and now it's only 6 years away. And there will come soft rains. And this is taken from the Martian Chronicles toward the end of the book. And so you'll kind of see kind of what happens there toward the end of the book. So we're going to read that story. So you want to be familiar with the title of the story associated with Ray Bradbury. Know that it came from the Martian Chronicles. And the theme of the story, as you read this chapter, I hope that you will see the theme that man will not be able to stop his own destruction. That should be his, not is. Man will not be able to stop his own destruction. And so I have a little YouTube video of Ray Bradbury talking and kind of giving his background himself. That is interesting to watch. So I'll just play this, I think 7 minutes or so. You might find that interesting. And then you will read the story for Thursday.
I suppose you wonder why I've called you all here. I want to identify myself. I'm Ray Bradbury. But you're very curious, aren't you, to find out how I fell in love with books. I learned to read when I was 3 years old. I loved comic strips. I loved the cartoons on Sunday. And I got a book of fairy tales when I was 5 years old, and I fell in love with reading. And when I was 6, I saw a film on dinosaurs, and dinosaurs filled my life. A thing that begins when you're 3 and 6 and 10 and 12 wind up in your fictions when you're in your 30s. The things that you do should be things that you love, and things that you love should be things that you do. I was 7 years old when I went to the library for the first time, and I was hoping to find books about The Land of Oz by L. Frank Baum and Tarzan by Edgar Rice Burroughs. That was a great adventure. And I'd open the door of the library and I'd look in, and all those people were waiting for me in there. You see, libraries is people. People are waiting in there. Thousands of people who wrote the books. My greatest influences are John Steinbeck. I read The Grapes of Wrath when I was 19 years old. So you find the author who can lead you through the dark. And Shakespeare starred me there, and Hamlet starred me there, and Richard III, and Emily Dickinson led the way for me, and Edgar Allan Poe said, "This way, here's the light." That's what a library is. So you go into the library and discover yourself. Long at night when I was 12 years old, and I looked at the planet Mars, and I said, "Take me home." And the planet Mars took me home. I never came back. So I've written every day. In the last 75 years, I've never stopped writing. We should learn from history about the destruction of books. When I was 15 years old, Hitler burned books in the streets of Berlin. So I learned then how dangerous it all was, because if you didn't have books and the ability to read, you couldn't be part of any civilization. You couldn't be part of a democracy. If you know how to read, you have a complete education about life, then you know how to vote within a democracy. But if you don't know how to read, you don't know how to decide. That's the great thing about our country, is we are a democracy of readers, and we should keep it that way. I published the first version of Fahrenheit in February 1951. When I moved into LA with my family, I had 2 daughters. I needed an office because my daughters were very loud and wonderful and lovely, but I had no money for an office. I was wandering around up at UCLA, and I heard typing in a room down in the basement. And I went down to the basement, and I found a room had 12 typewriters in it. I could rent a typewriter for 10 cents a half hour. So I said, my God, this is my office. Doesn't matter, I was surrounded by students. I got a bag of dimes. I moved into the typing room in the basement of the library, and I spent $9 and $9.80, and I wrote Fahrenheit 451. So you see, what a place for Fahrenheit 451 to be written in a library of all places where it wasn't being burned. So I made a contract with Valentine, and I went to the library again, where with the typing in the typing room, and I added 25,000 words. How did I do that? I got the characters to come to me. Montag came and said, "Do you know who I am completely?" I said, "No." I said, "Tell me." And the fire chief came to me, and he told me about his prior life. I said to the fire chief, "Why did you burn books?" And he told me. And Clarice McClellan came, who was a 16-year-old girl who was in love with books and libraries and life. Clarice is me. Clarice McClellan is Ray Bradbury, the young boy who fell in love with life. And Clarice is the essence of life and the essence of love. You see, all my characters write the book. I don't write the book. All these characters come to me and say, "Listen to me." And then I listen to them and I put it down and the book gets written. That's how I write. You see, all these lovers surround me and they love life and they tell me about it. At the center of my books is the gift of life. The reason why my books are popular because they know I'm a lover. When people touch my books, they are alive. So that's the gift I give to them, and I want them to carry them back and forth to the library. Books are smart and brilliant and wise. Love what you do and do what you love. Don't listen to anyone else who tells you not to do it. You do what you want, what you love. But imagination should be the center of your life. Fantasy at the center of your life. I'm going to have a t-shirt made. It says, "Stand at the top of the cliff and jump off and build your wings on the way down." We are all the sons and the daughters of time. So I thank the universe for making life on Earth and allowing me to come alive here. I want a close-up of the cat now.
All right, so that was just a little bit about Ray Bradbury. Did you enjoy his cat that he liked to show off? He likes to show his cat there. Did you enjoy seeing the cat? So that's just a little bit about Ray Bradbury. And so one thing I wanted to mention to you, as we mentioned how I kind of has that pessimistic view, like of the future. One critic said this about August 2026, the story that you're going to read. He said he finds this story, August 2026, to be fairly clearly a grim satire on life as we already know it, with its obsession for cleanliness, its labor-saving devices, its bridge tables and egg salad sandwiches, and its slavery to the clock. So as you read it, I think you'll kind of see Bradbury almost as a satirist, a little bit of satire on our society, right? So read that story for next time and we will talk about it.